Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to see about Dockerfile commands. Like basically we will start with what is Dockerfile and how it actually works. Like how this Dockerfile will become a container. Like what is the process and how it is done. Okay, so we'll start from the basics of Dockerfile. All the commands that are used like in Dockerfile, and we will see all these things step by step. Okay, so let's start. Okay, basically the first question that comes to your mind, like what is a Docker file? So let's see that. Basically it's a blueprint for creating a Docker image. Okay, now what is a blueprint? Like to create a Docker image. Okay, so I have a Docker file. Okay, by the name only you can understand it's just a file. Okay, so what type of file it is? Let's see that. Okay, so for now understand it is a file. Okay, it is a text file and it is becoming a Docker image. Okay, and if you haven't watched that video where I've already explained what is container, like how these containers are like built from the images, Docker images. Okay, so basically in simple words, if anyone asks you like what is a Docker file, then you can simply tell them that it is a blueprint or it is a template for creating a Docker image. Okay, now let's see one by one what type of file is it and how it is written. Okay, Docker builds images automatically by reading instructions from a Docker file. Okay, now this is my file. Okay, this is my Docker file and there are some commands, there are some instructions that are written there. Okay, and on reading those instructions, what is happening, this image is getting created. Okay, this Docker image is getting created. Now how's that image? If you could recall that video, okay, I'll add the link in the description box. If you haven't watched that, you can go and watch it. It is a short video. It will make you familiar with containers, the architecture of Docker and how it works. Okay, so make sure you watch that video. Okay, so basically this image is like a layer. Okay, it's like a layer on layer and layer. Okay, how is it working? So this commands, okay, these commands one by one it is forming a layer. Okay, now if there is one command, it is becoming a layer. It is another command, in another instruction it is forming another layer. Okay, now there are some specific command which creates these layers. There are only some specific commands, we are going to see about it. What are those commands that actually creates these layers? Now for now understand that these files are becoming images, and what are images? It is like a layer. Okay, layer kind of structure. Okay, so yeah, it is a text file. As I've already told, Docker file is a text file without any .txt extensions. Okay, like we know that all the text files that we have in our PC, it is having this extension that is .txt. But for Docker file, like if you are coding in VS Code, so you don't have to write like you will just write Docker file. You don't have to add this .txt thing. Okay, so and it will automatically detect that yes, it is a Docker file. Okay, you don't have to name any specific unique name or any fancy name. You don't have to add anything. You just have to write this name, that is Docker file. Okay, and it will automatically understand that yes, it is a Docker file. Okay, okay, that contains all the command in order, okay, needed to build a given image. Okay, now it is always named this. Okay, you don't have to name anything, you don't have to think about it, it's just simple, just name it as Docker file. Okay, I hope you are getting the brief idea how it is working. Let's see the image. Yeah, so you can see how this image is becoming. It is like image is like a layer. It is a read only layer. This is one layer, first layer, second layer, layer on layer. Okay, it is a layered structure. In simple words, we can say Docker file is a set of instructions that creates a stacked layer. See, this is what it is, a kind of stacked structure, right? For each instructions that collectively makes an image. So which is a prototype or template for containers. Okay, this image, this layer, or this prototype, this template that will be formed, it will become a container. Okay, we'll see what are you can watch that video where I have already explained what is containers. Okay, so that becomes containers, which in which we are having our application, which makes our application independent, and it is the container is the thing where we deploy our application, right? So it makes it separate from other it makes it separate from other dependencies. It is wrapping up all the dependencies, packages that are required for the applications, right? So yeah, this is the simple diagram that explains the entire you can say how it is working, like how this Docker file, the file that we are having, the commands, instructions that are written in Docker file. I'll show you one demo Docker file. Okay, how this Docker file, when we build it, okay, it becomes an image. What is image? It's like a layer kind of structure, right? It is a stacked layer kind of structure which is becoming image. Okay, and it is like a template for becoming a container. Okay, it makes a Docker container. So this is how it works, and it's a simple one, I guess. Now we are going to see all those commands that are actually frequently used in Dockerfile, and which is actually used to create this Docker image. Okay, so the frequently used Docker commands are from, then we have run, then we have cmd, then we have expose, env for environment, then copy, add, entry point, volume, and work directory. Also we are going to see the differences, like what are the differences of these commands, like run and then cmd, what is the difference between entry point. Okay, so we are going to see about all those. Before moving to each of these frequently used commands, I'd like to tell you these commands that are actually like these instructions that actually create a new layer in the image. Okay, so these commands are only run, then we have copy, and then we have add. Only these commands are there which actually creates a new layer. Okay, whenever in Dockerfile, okay, whenever in Dockerfile we are writing this run and then something, then we have copy and then we have add, so that means a new layer will be created on this already created layer. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now we'll see one by one what are the use of these commands. Okay, fine. So the first one is from command. Okay, now, so from, basically by the name only, what does it define? Like from means from somewhere. So basically this from, it defines a base image. Okay, like every Docker file, okay, will have this from command which will define a base image. Okay, base image on which we create, or you can say a base layer. Okay, on which we create another layer, or you can say another layer, or something will be formed upon this. Okay, so this base image, it basically defines, you can understand it like the OS that is needed. Like obviously if I want to run my application, it will need the OS, either whether it's Windows or Ubuntu. So this from, it actually used to define the base image. Okay, now it can be pulled from Docker Hub, as I've already told you, like the architecture of Docker. Whenever we write Docker run something, okay, so what it does, it will search for that file. Okay, or it will search for that image. If it is not there in the local registry, so what will happen, it will go to Docker Hub. Okay, Docker Hub, and it will find it from there. Okay, so basically this base image, it can also be pulled from the Docker Hub. For example, if we want to create a JavaScript application, suppose, okay, if I want to create a JavaScript application with Node as a backend. Okay, I want a JavaScript application with Node as a backend. Okay, so then we need to have a node as a base image. Obviously, like if we will in the personal like suppose in this computer, okay, I'm trying to create this application, JavaScript application. So obviously first step that I need to do is I need to install node before running it. Okay, because I am using this node as a backend. Okay, like I will have to use it, so that's why I need to install it. So from will define the base image. Okay, so what we will do, we will install or we will create this node as the base image so it can run node application. Okay, so I hope now this base or this foundation layer, you can say it as foundation layer, is clear. This from will define that. Okay, now next is our run command. Okay, run command, it like it executes the command in a new image layer as I've already defined. Let me use another color or leave it. This run will create a new layer, copy will create a new layer, and then add. Okay, so this run command, what it will do, it will executes in a new image layer, and we can have multiple run commands. Okay, I will come back to this run command because somewhat this run and then cmd, everyone gets confused between these two. So I'll get back to this run and cmd command. Okay, so for now understand that we can have multiple run commands. It is used to execute a, like it will create a new image layer. Okay, new layer will be created in the image, final image. Okay, so cmd command to be executed when running a container. Like when I'm trying to run the container, at that time this cmd, okay, this cmd instructions will be called, and all the command that I need to run while running this container, it will be written with this cmd instruction. Okay, it is asked to only have one cmd command. Okay, we are asked to have only one cmd command. Why? Because it is getting overwritten. Even though if you write cmd command and then suppose command 1, and then again in line 10 you are writing cmd command and then command 2, so what will happen, final, whatever the final command you are writing, only that one will be executed when your container is getting run or it is starting to run. Okay, only the final one will be executed. That's why it is asked to have only one cmd command. Okay, I hope this is clear. Then we have expose thing. Now this expose is simple. It's, you can understand, it is used to define the port on which you want to run the server. Okay, it is the port. Okay, documents which ports are exposed. Okay, like which, on which port you want to expose your application or you want to host your application. Okay, basically this port number. Okay, now it is only used for documentation part. Okay, it's of no use. Like the Dockerfile, in the Dockerfile it is only used for documentation part. Okay, next is env. Env is the short form of environment. Okay, like to set the environment. Okay, like if I want to define, obviously you must be, if you have worked with node or javascript, you must have seen this, like while installing these softwares you must have seen a pop-up like, yeah, a pop-up box or something, like it is asking you to set the environment or set the path. What is that? It is actually setting the environment, right? Like you need to manually set the path sometimes if it is not working. So that's the thing with this env instruction, it set the environment variables. Next we have copy command. It is used to copy your local file. Like suppose if I'm working on VS Code, I have created my JavaScript application on VS Code. Okay, and I have some files, I have some folders that are there. Okay, in the VS Code obviously. Now I need to copy these files or folders in my container. Okay, or in the, like basically in the image. Okay, the directory, I need to create a directory. Make directory will do that. I will first make directory, run. You can do it by using this run command. Run and then make directory. You will create a folder, and then what you can do, from your local files, all your local files or folders that you need to transport it to the image, you can do it by the help of this copy command. And obviously it is changing it, okay, right? It is changing the like it will add some change, so that's why it is making another layer. Okay, I hope this layer concept is getting clear. Why we are having a new layer? It's just like you are committing your changes. Okay, this is having some changes, this is having another changes on this, this is having another changes on this. Are you getting this point? Okay, so it's like you are committing your changes. Okay, then add. So copy is to copy your local files and directory. Then add. Everyone gets confused between copy and add, but there is a small difference between these two. Add, you can understand, add is like a more feature, like it's like a more rich version of the copy instructions. Copy is preferred over add. Like usually people go for copy. Okay, major difference. What's, like, if someone will ask you what's the difference between copy and add, you should tell them that the major difference is that copy will allow you to copy all the files and folders from your local, whereas this add will allow you to copy it from the URL. Okay, like you can even add or you can copy from the URL, but in copy you are only allowed to do it with local files. I hope this is clear. Yeah. Then we have entry point. What is this? Like the name suggests, something related to entry, like the beginning thing. Okay, so it defines a container's executable. Like you cannot like we cannot override entry point. Okay, we cannot override it. Okay, when it's like when we are starting a container, so we can have, like we can only have this entry point, whatever the command that we will write, so it will be executed. It will be like it is like a container's executable. Okay, then next we are having volume. What is that? So this volume, it defines which directory in an image. Okay, it will define the directory where, I hope you are having, if you're not having the idea of volume, I'll make another video related to these, that is the volume, or even with the Kubernetes. In Kubernetes we have pods and all those things, so I'll surely make sure that I'll create another video on this volume thing. But now understand that this volume, it is like a storage, like you are having a storage kind of thing. It defines in which directory in an image should be treated as a volume. It will define the folder where it should be treated like a volume. Okay, where you will store the data. Okay, then working directory, it will define the working directory where, like for subsequent instructions in Dockerfile. Okay, all the commands that we are doing, it should be going to that working directory in that folder. It will happen in that like root folder, you can say. Okay, important point to remember is that it doesn't create a new intermediate image layer. Only these commands, that is run, then we have cmd. Okay, we have, sorry, cmd is not there, just a minute. We have run, then we have copy, and then we have add. Okay, so only these commands are used to create a new layer in your image. Okay, new intermediate layer. Okay, now I hope all these commands are clear. If you are having anywhere any doubt, do comment it out. I'll try my best to explain. So now let's see one simple syntax, one simple Dockerfile commands that are written here. So here you can see the first instruction is from, and as I've already explained, like this from command, and after that you can see it is written Ubuntu and then the version. Okay, 18.04. So basically what is happening here, this is defining the OS on which we are going to build our application. Okay, so this is basically the base layer, right? This is the base layer on which we will create our application. This is the OS. Okay, Then what we have, another instruction is copy command. And as you remember, like this base layer, okay, we have a layer which is defining the OS, right? The OS of like on which our application will run or will be built. Okay, so this is Ubuntu. This is our first layer, layer 1. Okay, and then as soon as this copy command, what does this copy command will do? It will take copy, the syntax is copy, then source path, and then the destination where we want to copy it. Okay, basically it will take the local files or folders and then copy it to the destination path, or you can say the Docker container where we need to store it. Okay, so this copy command, if you remember, I've already told you that there are few commands that are run, then we have copy, and then we have add. These commands are used to create new layers, right? These commands will create a new layer on it. So likewise, what will happen now in this Ubuntu, we are going to have another layer. This is layer 2. Okay, and in this layer, now what we are doing, from the source, that is the current directory where we are, it will take the files to the slash app directory. Okay, inside this app slash app, it will copy all the files that are there. Okay, so what will happen, it will take basically it will take the files, it will add files from your Docker client's current directory. Okay, fine. Then we have run and then make slash app. Run and then the command. What is the command? So we know that run will also create another layer, right? And then what we are doing, we are, by the help of run, it will build your application with make command. Okay, it will this make command will build your application. Okay, whatever the this copy will copy all the files and folder, and then we will build our application using this make command. Now we have cmd. Now if you remember, if you recall what I have explained, cmd is used for the command, or it will define the command which will run as soon as our container will run. Okay, so it will specify what command to run when the container will start running. Okay, within the container, what contain, how we will execute our container, the application that is inside. Like suppose I have this container. Now inside this I have a .py file and I need to write, obviously you remember, you know this, like to run any Python file, we write what? We write Python, okay, and then we write the file name. Suppose the file name is app.py, right? So by this, what is happening? We are running it, okay? So this cmd followed by any command, okay, it can be anything. So I'm writing here Python and then the file name. Okay, so here cmd, and then after that, if it is node, so we will define the how we used to node and then the file name, so it will run it. Okay, so cmd and then Python and then the file name, so that it will run the application that is there inside this container. Okay, so and this cmd will not create any other layer, right? Only run, copy and add will be created. So basically we are having 3 layers, and collectively it is making a template, right? A template which is the image, final image. And from this image, when we will build this image, it will create container, right? And this is the basic architecture that is getting followed. This is the basic way how it works. Okay, so next yeah, so you can see each instructions creates one layer. From will define the base layer, then copy adds file from your Docker client's current directory, right? So the current directory where we were, okay, where we are having our application in our PC, it will take the files from there and then it will save it to the image, or the it will create a layer which will have the directory that is slash app, and inside that we will have all the files. So what are the files? As you can see in cmd, we were running app.py. So how that app.py has come? It has come by this copy command only. Okay, I hope it is clear. So yeah, okay, fine. So here you can see that all the layers, okay, the intermediate layers of the image have been created, right? Now finally I need to wrap it up and create the template, create this template of like these layers as template and make it as the image, final image for our container, right? So what we will do, we will use this this instruction, that is docker build, then flag, that is terminal for terminal, and then app, and then the current directory, right? So what we are doing, we are naming this image, we are building the image, okay, from these layers, okay, these are the layers, and then we are creating our image as app, okay, this is our image name, and then this terminal, and then current directory, from the current directory. And what is happening here, our image, final image will be created, okay, this template has been created. Now what I need to do, I need to make it as, or I need to uh, create it as a container, right? I need to make it as the application and all those things. I need to run it, right? So for that, what I will do, I will use this instruction, that is docker run, and then the image name, whatever the image name is. What will happen, it will run and it will create the container, okay, it will container layer, which is read write layer, and then our container will start running. And if you remember, I have already told you this run of the container, as soon as this container will start running, it will move and it will go to, it will find if there is any command with this, if there is any command associated with this instruction docker run thing, then that will be executed. Otherwise it will search for the default command that is set. If there is any command cmd instruction in the docker file, then that will be executed, okay. So by this, let me make it clear, more clear by these differences, that is difference between run, cmd, and entry point. What is the difference between those, okay? So basically the difference between these are that we know that for what we use run, run is having you can say run is to install the packages that are required for our application to run, okay. Like this, in simple words, you can say I'm writing run, then I'm writing apt get install python, because I want to run a python application. I want to have a python application, so for that obviously I need to install python. So this run command will allow us to install packages, okay. And then we have cmd command, okay. So just understand cmd as the default, it allow you to set a default command which will be run if you are not, if you are trying to run your container, okay, if you are trying to run your container and without any command, okay, without any command, then this cmd, okay, cmd instruction will be executed, okay. It allow you to set a default command which will be executed only when you run container without specifying a command, okay. So you can tell it like run cmd and then echo, okay, then hello world. So what will happen, as soon as you will run your container, okay, as soon as you will run your container without specifying any command, so this default command will be shown and it will show you hello world, right? Next we have entry point. People do get confused between these two, cmd and entry point. The main difference is that if we have multiple cmd commands, okay, if I have multiple cmd commands in my docker file, then what happens, the final, the last cmd command, that will be the final one, okay, that will be the final one that will be executed, okay. That is the like that's the default command that is set, okay. It is getting overwritten, okay. In case of entry point, okay, it is the instructions that allows you to configure a container that will run as an executable. It is just like similar to cmd, but it also allows you to specify a command with parameters, like you can say The difference is that, okay, the main difference is that it is not getting overridden. Okay, like if you have Docker container run with command line parameters, even though if you are writing Docker and then run and then the image name, whatever the image name is, and even though you are specifying the command that is need to be executed, this will entry point will surely be executed. It does not get ignored by the command. Okay, are you getting my point? With like even though you are passing any command with this Docker run, this entry point command will surely be executed. Okay, so that's the major difference between run, cmd and entry point. Okay, I hope it is clear. If there is something, if the you are having doubt anywhere, then you can comment it out, and do give your reviews, do like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you.